Hi everyone, I'm just going to go really quickly over my cheapest way to clean bearings. All you need is two things, a jar, or you could even use a water bottle, and some rubbing alcohol, isopropyl. You want to get it at 100 or 99% because if it's got any water in it, it's going to make your bearings rust. This is actually the same stuff that I use to spray on my pads, except I dilute it so it's around 40%, the same as vodka or any other alcohol. So how do you know if your bearings need cleaning? You might just want to clean them if they're a bit crunchy and you can hear there's a lot of stuff in them. But when they really need cleaning is when they kind of stop rolling. So this bearing here, you can see it sort of comes to a stop and almost starts to spin in the other direction. I think one of the bearings in there is in a really bad state and the other's not so bad. But once you clean it out, it'll run fine again. Okay, so I'm just going to show you how to remove the bearings from your wheel. If you don't have a bearing press or a little bones bearing tool, you can put the wheel on your axle and use it to ply the bearing off. It's quite tricky and it could potentially cause damage, but if you do it just a few times, it's fine, and that's how I used to do it when I first started. This is what it looks like with a bearing press. This is a roll line bearing press. Obviously it's a lot easier and you just need to pull the lever back to take the bearing out. There you go, it's off. Okay, so now we've got to take the bearing cover off. You want a pin or some other thin object. You want to lever it under the cover, the red thing that you can see there, or it might also be black or another colour, and lift it up so you can see the balls underneath. This bearing is bones, and that means it's only closed on one side, so you only have to remove one cover. The other bearings that came with my Moxie lollies, they were inside the gummy wheels. Those have covers, as you can see, on both sides, and so you would need to remove both. There's another kind of bearing called a closed bearing, which I'm showing you now. Some people think of them as disposable bearings because you can't remove the covers and so it's difficult to clean them, but you can still give them a bit of a clean. So just quickly, whilst I'm removing the covers from all of these, I'm going to show you this bearing. It really doesn't spin at all, really crunchy, and compared to this one, which is pretty good already. I'm going to clean them all, but you can definitely see the difference. Okay, so once you've taken the covers off all of your bearings, you can put the bearings in the glass jar and add a tiny bit of rubbing alcohol. Then you want to put the lid on the glass jar and give them a good shake. This will really agitate the bearings and the rubbing alcohol together and remove all the dirt. You'll find that the rubbing alcohol will get really dirty, and you can then pour that away and replace it with some clean alcohol and keep repeating this process until the leftover alcohol is really clear. This only took a couple of times for my bearings, but it could take longer. If you want to check, you can spin the bearings and see how good they are. Some people use a bones bearing spar for this, but I find it's a lot of extra work. You have to put on all the bearings onto a thing, you have to space them out. It's a lot of extra effort and you have to buy an extra tool, and I feel like you don't really need it. So here I'm just laying all the bearings out onto some kitchen roll for them to dry. If I really want them to dry fast, I sometimes spin the bearings to make sure all the extra rubbing alcohol comes out. But yeah, this is how I'm just going to leave them here to dry. And when they're dry, I'm going to do the next step. Okay, so once the bearings have dried, you'll see, look how well they spin. This bearing was barely spinning at all before. Now it's just going for it. All of them are like that. Pick them up at random. They're all spinning pretty well. Getting my finger caught in the way. So, a little extra thing you can do is to add, this is Bones Speed Cream. It's not necessary, it's a bit expensive. You can also get sewing machine oil. I think I used to use sewing machine oil and the bottle cost me about £3. This cost me about £7, so really splashing out here. We're just going to add a couple of drops to that. We're going to add it to this side, not this side, so the side that you would put the cover on afterwards. We're going to spin them a little bit and then we're going to put the caps back on. Now I used isopropyl rubbing alcohol, 100%, and that percent is really important when I was cleaning these. But you can also use acetone. This is more environmentally friendly and you can dispose of it down the sink as long as you're only using small quantities, and as you can see, I barely used any, so I would definitely recommend 100% or 99% isopropyl rubbing alcohol. But if acetone's all you've got, just make sure it's pure as well, because you don't want any dilution with water or it will cause your bearings to rust. So just a few drops around. Make sure you're putting it on the open side so you can get it more in. just like that. Good. Actually, so I got 17 bearings here instead of 16, because when I bought some wheels recently, one had a spare bearing stuck in it, so I thought I'd give that a clean too. Cool, so now just get the covers. They are falling out everywhere. And it's really easy to put them back on. Just press it on top. I've given these a little wipe down with a cloth. It is easier to do this over the sink, with the whole cleaning them first home, because it can be messy. But remember to wipe down the area around the sink first, because you really don't want any water getting involved. Don't put your cover on back to front either. Not sure that would change much, but so yeah, it's pretty simple and no special tools needed. And you have great running, perfectly spinning bearings. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to put on the bearings with and without the bearing press. So firstly with the bearing press. With the bearing press, you have this little thing here, which is where you put all your bearings on. First you want to put on a bearing. You want to put the red side on the outside. You want to put the wheel on. Then you want to put another bearing, because you can actually press on 2 bearings at once. You're going to roll that down, and you're going to push the lever forward and squeeze the bearings in. It's really simple, and look, 2 bearings in at once. Perfect. If you don't have a bearing press, you can use the axle of your skate. So what you're going to do is you're going to position the bearing in place. You're going to put it on your skate, and you're going to press down until you hear the bearing pop into place. Check it out. It looks pretty good too. It's a lot more work, and again, just like taking bearings off this way, you're putting more pressure on your skate and on different parts of the bearings, so it may affect the life of them, but if it's all you have, it definitely works.